I'm not entirely sure how to describe what this game is because I didn't entirely understand the story in this game. You start out as an employee who's riding on a train. You get a text from your boss on your gigantic iPad that says, "Hey, you're being fired. Thanks for all the work over the years, but we can't let people stick around for too long." And then your train crashes and you go underneath the earth.
That's very strange.
That is strange. Hey guys, I'm Crypto Spook and this is Remnith.
And this is MRIXRT, and I'm not sure that I would want to have a boss that will kill me when he fires me.
Being fired is pretty bad. And then being murdered at the same time is even worse.
I agree. The interesting thing about this game is that every time you miss, you make your enemies stronger.
That's correct. If you hit the wall, it turns into these little energy blisters which feed strength into your enemies. This game is very visually appealing.
This is a very stylish looking game from what I can see.
It is. It really reminds me of an old school arena shooter almost because of the aesthetic. Now I think that whole aesthetic is because you're underneath the surface of the earth and there's some kind of... They tell the story as you're going through this underneath part of the earth, by the way. Does that make sense?
No, you went off on a weird tangent there.
I can't help it. It's not an easy game to understand. You're kind of like gliding around as this giant gun. Like you've got this giant gun that's floating in front of you that you can use to destroy these things that keep rising from the earth.
Like dwarves?
Like dwarves? No, I don't think they're dwarves.
I mean, it'd be pretty neat if they were dwarves.
I guess they could be dwarves. They do seem very small with very large guns. So maybe they are dwarves. It's a great point, but no, you're most certainly a human being.
It's unfortunate. This could have been one of the great games of all time.
Because there's dwarves?
They decided not to take the dwarven aspect. It's unfortunate. So is it fun?
I loved it. I had a blast playing this game. It was like Quake.
Except VR. So VR Quake?
A little bit like VR Quake, but the bots are way worse.
Do you think it's going to be better than Doom VFR?
I don't think it's going to be better than Doom VFR, graphically, or gameplay-wise, but I will say that it's really fun to play.
That sounds fair.
It's kind of like you're a mech, you know? This is like you're a mecha strider that's going through a giant... If you just imagine this as a city, then hey, you're a mech now. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like Earth Siege. There's Dayton. There's Dayton us right there.
That's definitely dating you.
You played Earth Siege. Don't pretend you were not a huge Sierra fan.
I don't even know what that is.
Sierra! It was a gaming company that did lots and lots of... Oh, come on.
No clue what that is.
I am sure lots of people watching this video know and love and miss Sierra because Sierra games were the best.
You know, like, I'm the guy who brings up Sierra games repeatedly, talking about all of their various...
Look, I get it. You don't get gaming references. That's fine.
Oh, wow. Okay, I get what this is. So... In Remnith, one of the things that interested me is the fact that they call this game kind of a Dark Souls-y, roguelite-ish kind of game. In that, every single enemy is meant to be difficult. They specifically say every battle is a boss battle. It's part of their marketing. Every single enemy that you fight is supposed to be hard enough that it can kill you. And even if you fight one guy and you go, oh, that wasn't a big deal, eventually you're going to be fighting really big, really bad monster things that you're making more powerful every time you fail to kill it.
You are completely correct, and they perfectly conveyed that. Every single fight did feel like a boss battle, because they weren't one-and-done enemies. You had to hit them multiple times, and each one have different types of weaknesses, different types of attacks. It was fun. I loved it. I love the way they designed this game.
You think this is a fantastic game?
I think it's a fantastic game. I will put that on the record.
If you were to write the quote line that they use on their Steam page, what would it say?
This does not feel like any other VR shooter that I've played so far.
That sounds pretty good. I feel like that's the kind of thing they'll stick on their Steam page. Good job!
Okay.
This is another one of those games that's designed to be played either in VR or not in VR. So you can play this game right now, even if you don't have a VR headset.
Well, that's good. I'm always about being inclusive.
It's also got different locomotion, such as thumbstick, trackpad, It's got teleportation. You can do it sitting. You can do it standing.
Oh man, I could not imagine how hard this game would be with teleporting. Like trying to aim at people and then at the same time trying to use your other hand to teleport you away from them, because dodging was a huge part of the game.
Well, apparently you just use one hand to teleport. So you can just move your teleport in a different direction, teleport out of the way, sort of like the carrot and the stick kind of idea, but with a teleport.
Okay, well actually that does make sense. But no, that actually makes perfect sense. That explains why the two aiming reticles were locked together then.
That's also exactly the same thing that Doom VFR is going to be doing.
Really? Well, then I applaud them for it. I absolutely enjoyed every minute that I played in this game, and I wanted to keep playing more. The only problem is I ran into a glitch where I couldn't find the end of the level. I don't know if I did something wrong. Maybe I missed something, but I got stuck, and I couldn't beat a level.
Well, I'm sure that what happened was that there was no glitch and you were just bad at the game, because that seems to happen a lot.
Yeah, I was actually leaning towards that myself. It wouldn't surprise me.
This is a really pretty title for a VR game. It's got a very interesting, simple aesthetic that I think really works out well for VR. It's also the type of thing that's not going to stress out your computer very much, which is a big plus. I mean, if you don't get 90 frames per second, that's painful in VR. So having a nice and simple aesthetic does that. The mechanics seem very strong in that it makes sense. Don't miss or you make them harder. That's a really simple and easy thing to remember as you play through the game. I also really enjoy any titles that encourage you to get better. It's one of the reasons why we like Counter-Strike. You get better, the game character doesn't get better. So even though you might be unlocking various things, you're still primarily getting better yourself by being able to aim better, by being able to dodge and get through the puzzles and things like that a little bit faster.
Now, I wouldn't say that this is a pretty game. I would say it has an interesting aesthetic, absolutely. Pretty? No. It's a very simple, graphically styled game, but that's actually part of the appeal for me. It plays well to the VR audience and the VR hardware.
Okay, so you don't like my word of pretty, that's fine.
I don't think it's a very pretty game. I mean, it's got like 55,000 different shades of, what did you call it?
Quake brown.
Quake brown. It's got 55 different thousand shades of Quake brown, but that doesn't detract from the game. I think it adds to the game.
I mean, the Quake brown thing, that's a longer discussion, but there's a reason why they did Quake brown, and that was so that they could add lighting.
But everything in here is simplistic, but the level designs are different. Like, see, this level that I'm playing now is a skyscraper level where you can fall off and kill yourself, which I did many times, I'd like to point out. And there's different ones where it's underground, where if you dodge, there's stuff to hide behind. This one, you can kill yourself much more easily.
So do you think this is the type of title that you would be able to, maybe not you, but someone would be able to start building their speedrunning career around?
That's a great question. I don't think the enemies are the same in every level. I'm not entirely sure they can do that.
I imagine that since they have specific levels, there will be the ability to speedrun it, because I'm sure that enemies probably spawn based off of scripts and triggers.
Well, if that's the case, and the enemies are the same every time, then yeah, you could absolutely start trying to speedrun this game.
So how long do you think this game is?
I don't know. From the amount of time I spent in the third or fourth level of the game, I would say this could be a several hour long game.
Now, it's interesting that you say that, because there are only 3 levels, but there are 25 arenas. So I'm assuming that you actually went through a couple of arenas, not levels.
I guess so. Okay, so the level... Alright, so I only played 2 levels then, because I guess the blank loading screens, that's probably the level change.
So it's probably a 2 or 3 hour title to get through your first time.
Yeah, I would say that's entirely accurate.
And then if you wanted to, you can bump up the difficulty, play it through again, try and get better, maybe speed run it, whatever. That's how you'll extend the lifetime of this title.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think this game could very easily be added to as well. They could design some new levels for this, no problem. I want more than 4 levels. And more weapons. That was probably the best part, was unlocking the different weapons.
Now, this was originally a Game Jolt game. It came to Steam. It was a $5 game on Game Jolt, and now it is a $10 title. Do you think $10 is a fair price for this game?
I would say that $10 is an absolutely fair price for this game. I had more than $10 worth of fun, and my time is worth much more than $10.
Is it, though?
It absolutely is.
Yeah, but is it really, though?
It is. My time is valuable, sir. I'm a busy man.
$10, you feel comfortable with that. You think that that's a good price for this game. You would pay $10 without any complaints.
I would not complain about a $10 price tag. That is correct.
I feel like $10 is a good price as well, simply because if you don't want to play it in VR, you don't have to. I think that's always a really nice thing to have, as long as the game is actually built for VR and not just a really terrible port that they threw VR in so that they could say they had VR, which we're seeing more and more of recently. And I really do like it when a VR title that can be non-VR as well is willing to put that mode in there. I think that that extends it and it gives people more opportunities to play. It also means that you have a greater sales base, a greater consumer base, because you can sell to people who aren't VR players. I think that makes sense to me.
That makes a lot of sense, and I'm glad. I hope more VR developers do it, because I want you to be successful. I want you to keep making me games.
Make me games.
Make me games, monkey!
So there you go, guys. That is Remnith. Remnith. If you like it. If you don't like it. But if you did like it, go ahead and watch another one up there in the corner. And as always,
We'll see you on the next one.